You're listening to Three Kitchens Podcast, hosted by Heather Dyer and Erin Walker. We're on a mission to inspire home cooks like us to try new recipes and make good food.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Three Kitchens Podcast. In your left ear, you've got Heather Dyer coming at you from the dials. Hi, Heather.
From the dials. Hello.
And in your right ear, Erin Walker.
You get both of us.
So I think this is a while ago. Heather shared with me that she was at the superstore and that she bought this marvelous mug for herself for $1.64 and it had an H on it. And then I went shopping a few days later at the superstore and I walked past the shelf and it had, and I'm not kidding you, I should have taken a picture of it. It had all the mugs, like the one that Heather bought, and it only had two mug types. One
Two
shelf
letters?
was full of H's and one shelf was full of E's.
Oh,
and I was
yay!
like, oh my God, I have to buy this mug now.
I love the color of yours too. That's really nice.
It's kind of like a pinky pumpkin-y kind of color.
I like it. Mine's
But
like
it's got the
beige.
texture and the...
I know, isn't it a great feeling
Ooh,
mug?
I love just holding on to it.
I know.
But I
it's so
couldn't
good.
believe that there were only two options for
That's
letters.
hilarious.
I was like, well, clearly I have been destined to buy this mug.
It's
And it was
meant to be.
$1.64.
H and E, the only letters that are left. Nobody's
That's it.
names start with those letters except ours.
Only us.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fun. I don't have mine out today. I have my giant mug from
Ooh.
Starbucks that, when they have different place names on, and this one has New York City.
I was going to say, it's from that time you went to New York.
Yeah, many, many years ago. I think this was the trip when we went, it was my husband's 40th birthday. So that was more than 10 years ago.
Don't say many years ago. Your poor husband.
He's fine. Fine. Still looks younger. So what,
Yeah.
He likes telling people his age because then they go, really?
Yeah.
Shut up. Nobody says that to me anymore.
I know. When I went into the liquor store the other day, I was really hopeful that they'd ID me because they called me Miss when I came in. And I was like, oh, they're going to ask for ID today. They didn't.
Oh,
Clearly, as I approached the gray hair and wrinkles, they were like, oh, no, never mind. Just buy it.
she's no miss. I haven't been ID'd for anything in many, many, many years. That's fine. It's fine. Whatever.
Many
I'd be
moons.
shocked, honestly, I'd be like, seriously, you want me to? I have to pull that out now? Like, why? Look at me. Come on.
Come on.
Come on. So I know you told me that you're going to make something from the, do you say Food by Fire? Is that the X is by Food X Fire, Food by Fire cookbook?
I think
And-
so.
And this is by, can you tell me the guy's name again, please?
His name is Derek Wolf, and he is the creator of the Over the Fire Cooking social media
Instagram,
account,
yeah.
Instagram account.
And anyone listening who has never looked up Over the Fire Cooking, you must.
Yeah.
Derek's account, you will wonder to yourself,
You will wonder to yourself.
you'll wonder a lot of things, like where does he live and can I crash his backyard? Because
Yes.
holy shit, he cooks
When's
some
the next barbecue?
amazing food, mostly meat, but also occasionally there's some seafood and sides and other stuff, but mostly like red meat, I'd say, is like
Meat, and more meat.
but so much of it, like he does all these videos, his whole
That's exactly
feed.
where I think.
His whole feed is reels, all these videos where he's like, and I'm cooking this and I'm cooking that, and he does a fantastic job of it.
I think it's a husband-wife coordination or a partner coordination.
Very nice. Yeah, because he's the one cooking, so someone else is filming and possibly editing. But anyway, it's like I just looked at this giant, he's cutting the ribs, but it's this huge rack and I always think to myself, who's eating all that food?
That's what I'm always wondering too. I mean, he always has a piece of it that he eats at the end of his video. He's got the same structure for every video, and at the end he eats a bite and
Takes a big bite.
Yeah,
like a big
exactly.
turkey leg or something.
He's got the like
yum.
Fred Flintstone going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, who's eating all of that? And can it be me?
Do they
Please.
have 8 children to feed, or do they feed their whole neighborhood, or like, because how do they eat all that?
How often are they producing their content? Derek, reach out to us. Let's be friends.
Come on the podcast and tell us all about it. And how can you afford? Must have a really good line on farmers, or I don't know who supplies them, but wow, amazing.
So one reason that I know that Derek and I and you can be included too.
Thank you. I didn't know where you're going with this, but thanks.
we'll be best friends is because he started this whole journey of over the fire cooking and getting into cooking like this after watching the South American chef.
Oh boy.
Francis Smallman.
Erin's celebrity chef crush, Francis Bourbon. Another one. If you want to watch somebody cook over a fire, oh my God, that man can cook like amazing stuff, and not just big hunks of meat, but like wasn't Francis the one throwing like whole pumpkins into the coals and things like that, and like roasting veggies? That like just amazing stuff.
Yeah, no, he does some amazing cooking stuff, and clearly I'm not the only one in love with him. Mm-hmm. Derek is too. So this cookbook was gifted to me by some good friends that you might know. Oh, Heather and Sarah.
And you've yet to cook from it for us.
And the day has finally come. I love that I feel like I'm like reading you a bedtime story. I've got my book out and you can see it, and I'm like, once upon a time.
I feel like you need a drum roll right now.
Bacon wrapped maple bourbon chicken skewers.
Oh my God, that sounds delicious. I'm not sure which of those words caught me first. Bacon, bourbon, maple, but I think actually it's just all of it together. It sounds perfect.
This is all the things that are going to make this good.
Yum.
This has got, so it's got the chicken is going to be chopped up into cubes, coated with a seasoning, wrapped in bacon, and then it's going to cook indirectly. And I'm going to use my grill for this for about half an hour. So you don't want it in super high heat. You want it off of the flames, and you want it just on the side, slowly cooking and bubbling and doing its magic thing.
Is it right on the grill, or is it on a pan? What do you do?
I will most likely be doing this. I have a sheet of baking steel that I like to do my indirect grill cooking on. Mm-hmm. So I will most likely pop it on there, but I'll let you know once I do it, because like most things, my plan's not working. Now what the fuck do I do? Could happen.
Yeah.
And then after you've cooked them, you're going to put your maple bourbon glaze on.
Oh.
It over the chicken and caramelize the bacon over the fire for like 30 seconds.
Caramelize.
Indirectly cook it really slow so that like the bacon fat seeps into that chicken breast, really gets all the flavor in there. And then you're just going to sear it at the end with this glaze so that it crisps and does that whole burnt thing. And then serve it.
And what do you serve it with? Does he have like recommendations for what to serve it with?
He doesn't, but I've got a plan. Recipe number 2.
Honestly, I had no idea. I just was curious what you were going to make with it. Mashed potatoes, or maybe some kind of rice, or what?
Everything in this sounds savory, really rich, right? So I thought we need something that's a little bit lighter, that's going to have a strong flavor, that's going to complement this on the other side. I am going to make a lemon rice recipe. So let's see. Can you see?
Oh, it's actually called lemon rice recipe.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that looks yummy.
So it's going to have a really strong lemony, hopefully acidic flavor that's going to cut that rich, fatty, bacony thing going on.
Oh, are you using salted lemons in that rice, or am I just like...
Oh, I have barely looked at that rice recipe. Apart from I think I have everything.
Every time we talk about something with lemon, I'm like, salted lemon?
Yeah. Sometimes I like to use it in addition to... So like this calls for 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. So I might do some of the salted lemon liquid and lemon juice as well.
Or replace the salt that would otherwise be in the recipe with a bit of the lemon salt.
Yeah.
So you can use the salted lemon in a few different ways.
Every which way. Yeah, I think this will be fun. I'm looking forward to this. So, and then honestly, I think I might just keep this same, the maple bourbon glaze that they're talking about and put it with some carrots and roast them too.
Oh, yum. That sounds good.
Because I think that I love those flavors with carrots as well. Mm-hmm. So.
Oh, this sounds delicious.
The grilling season is all the time in my house.
Well, I was just going to say grilling season, there's no such thing because we're hardy people here in Canada. Yes. We don't let our long freaking winters stop us from barbecuing. So
no.
In my backyard, I know you have a little light above on the side of your house.
Yes, I do.
Down where your barbecue is, but mine is in the dark. There's a motion sensor light that points kind of the other direction toward into the yard. Yeah. And so when I'm out there, because it's dark at like 5 o'clock, days are starting to get longer, but for a lot of winter, it's dark at dinner time. So I have a headlamp. And so I pull on the headlamp so that I can actually see the food on my barbecue, because if you're trying to juggle a flashlight and you're...
Oh, you can't.
No, you can't.
It just doesn't work. I have a really good picture of myself in like my full winter regalia with my oven mitts on and a headlamp, and I'm at the barbecue and I'm really excited about making something. Who knows what it was, but
you should post that and we'll put it up.
I should try and find that picture, because that's how we do.
Yeah, you have to. And right now is the perfect actually winter barbecuing weather, because it's hovering around 0, give or take a little bit, which is like, I mean, it's practically summer. Yeah. Well, just let's be honest. It's warm enough to be out there barbecuing.
I saw somebody jogging in shorts and a t-shirt in the park like 2 days ago, and I was like, it's summer officially.
There's those people who put on shorts. Well, I mean, jogging is different, but there are those people. It's like, as soon as it's -10, they're putting on their shorts and flip-flops to go to the grocery store. I'm like, people.
Come on,
not quite. But I will certainly barbecue.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be really good. I love indirect fire cooking. That's one of my favorite methods. I do it all the time when I cook with chicken on my barbecue. I feel like it's the easiest way to guarantee that I'm not going to give you food poisoning and my chicken is still going to taste
you don't want
nice
to dry
and juicy. Yeah, because, and when you're cooking it over a flame, I find it often, it flares up, it burns, it doesn't cook all the way through, whatever. Mm-hmm. Me and the indirect cooking method have become good friends. So I'm super excited to give this recipe a try. And bacon, maple, bourbon.
Can't go wrong.
Right?
Seriously, I honestly think you cannot go wrong with those flavors. And this is one of the things that Derek does a lot in his cooking, is like the spice rub. Everything gets like a rub of seasoning underneath other stuff. Like he's got the layers happening, and
and if you're looking for another source that also uses chimichurri in all the cooking, Derek's there for you.
Yeah, just use Francis's chimichurri recipe.
Yeah, it's the exact same chimichurri recipe from Francis Mallman. It is fantastic.
It's on our website.
He's got a smash burger with chimichurri.
Seriously, you guys. And also, if you're into cooking over the fire or a barbecue, just check out the guy's accessory. Like, he's got all the pots and the different grills, and the, like, talking about just a tripod, but like tripods and like big woks, and like
he's got the multi-layer grills that like swing and rotate over the fire.
Like, amazing. Yeah.
Again, Derek, give us
inspiring.
A shout. Yeah. Let's get together wherever you are. Just give us a shout. We'll make it.
Okay.
So I hope you're hungry. I'm making this tonight, Heather.
Oh, tonight you are.
I'm seriously making this tonight.
Oh, I'm so excited.
This is happening. I hope you're ready for dinner tonight.
Oh, I am.
Hey listeners, I hope you're enjoying this fun episode. Did you know you can find this recipe on our website? We post all the recipes for each episode on threekitchenspodcast.com, and we even include recipes that we're not making for the podcast, just things we make every day in our kitchen. Leave a comment, tell us what you like about the recipe, or what you don't like, or how you zhuzhed it up. You can find the link in our show notes, or type it in, threekitchenspodcast.com.
Let's talk about some yummy chicken. That's what I want to talk about.
All right. So we had these bacon wrapped maple bourbon chicken skewers. Again, all the things in that title.
I know. These are a few of my favorite things. Seriously.
Chicken and bacon and maple and bourbon.
It was meant to be. Where's Julie Andrews to sing it for you when you need her? That was so good.
So what I thought would be labor intensive, just because you're cutting each piece of chicken and bacon and wrapping it all, it actually wasn't too bad to do. So I thought it was pretty easy to make and execute. I had a little bit of a struggle cooking it in the dark, as we discussed.
Yes, of course.
As my light faded, I had a harder time really seeing, but I did get out my thermometer to check it. Okay, let's go into what I made before we talk about how I made it.
How you had to peer at it in the dark. The joys of winter barbecuing.
Exactly. It's not going to hold me back, though.
Nope.
So I had 3 chicken breasts that I chopped up for this. I think it made about 30 pieces of meat. And then there was a seasoning that went on the meat before it went and got wrapped up. So the seasoning was brown sugar, paprika, onion powder, salt, pepper, and cinnamon. Popped it in there, mixed it around, and then let it sit for a little bit in the fridge while I got all my bacon. So the strips were kind of cut in half lengthwise and in half again. So each piece of bacon actually was able to wrap 4 of these pieces of chicken, which was
that's good.
Pretty convenient.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I just wrapped up each little cube and stuck it onto my skewers. I would say if you don't have like a thick, and even the skewers I use aren't very flat, like they're just like a long, thin metal skewer. Mm-hmm. If you're going to do this on round wooden skewers, I would say put 2 through because they start to spin.
Oh, yeah.
And I know in his picture, he has this nice thick skewer that's like a
sword.
Small sword that he's got.
I've seen his videos with those. I'm like, look at that. It's like a barbecue sword.
It is. It is really cool. And I think it's totally functional. So if you're going to do this with like a thinner skewer like I had, or even the wooden ones, I would suggest putting 2 through so that you can kind of keep them when you're turning them on the barbecue.
It does make it hard when the items on your skewers spin around. I find that with vegetables too because I use a metal skewer as well.
Yeah.
And they tend to spin around. Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't make it easy. Anyway, I popped these on my barbecue. I had my steel on one side of my barbecue and then my burner on the other. It definitely was a little bit cooler in my barbecue than I wanted it to be, so I had to cook them for a little bit longer to get that internal temperature up. I think the chicken would have been juicier if I would have done a better job in maintaining that temperature because it dipped down kind of below 300 quite a few times. And every time I opened it up to spin them or turn them, I lost all my heat. Anyway, a few little complications. It recommended for about 35 minutes, but I believe I did closer to about 40. And then at the end, you move them off the indirect side and right over top of the flame. And that's when you start basting them with the maple bourbon sauce that you've made. And then flipping them in just 2 to 3 minutes on each side, getting it kind of crispy and constantly basting it. Finish those up. So I would say not super difficult to make.
What's in that bourbon sauce? Bourbon sauce.
The maple bourbon sauce. Okay, so if you've watched Derek's videos, he has this fantastic little tiny, it's almost like a little pot that he makes all of his sauces in that's cast iron. What does he call it? A basting skillet.
Oh, yeah.
I do not have one of these, but I think it's
I think maybe you need one.
To be purchased.
Next birthday or something. Mother's Day's coming up.
Mother's Day's coming up. There we go. I want a basting skillet. Anyway, so I did this all on my stovetop instead. For the glaze, it was a 1/4 cup of bourbon. I used my Tennessee whiskey in this because according to me, it's close enough to the same. And you want to just reduce that by half. And then you add in a 1/4 cup of maple syrup and 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. And that's it. Slap that over your skewers as they're sitting on that heat. And like, because bourbon is flammable, you want to be a little bit careful when you do this. As soon as you start brushing it on, those flames start jumping up, and it crisps and gets all that bacony fat all nice and crispy and caramelized, and it's a fun process. But I would recommend like rolling up your sleeves while you do that, or
yeah, watch your eyebrows.
Watch your eyebrows. Yeah.
Or if you have a mustache, I don't know. Mustache must be a bit hazardous, or one of those really long beards.
Oh, that'd be awful. Maybe don't put your face over your skewers as you're doing the basting process.
Okay. Good point.
There we go.
So she's acting it
now
out.
Now I'm miming it for everybody. Yeah. I'm great in a game of charades, right?
I bet.
We should pull that out at our next party. We'll pair together.
Fun.
All right. So those were the skewers. Really actually not that hard to do. So I wrapped these up and put them in the fridge earlier in the day, and then they were just ready to go. It was a pretty quick cook. And then I made a lemon rice. This was kind of funny because I had no lemons in my house, even though I thought I did.
Oh no.
Someone went and used my lemons. So I substituted some stuff and made it all work. And it still came out lemony. All right. So this was 2 tablespoons of butter and a tablespoon of olive oil melted in a medium saucepan on the stove. And then you slice up 4 green onions, just the white parts, and pop them into that oil and let them cook and simmer for a little bit. And then you add in diced garlic and lemon zest. I did not have lemon zest, but I had dried lemon peel that I had bought at the Silk Road Spice Market.
Oh.
And so I just put in a teaspoon of dried lemon peel instead of fresh lemon zest.
What had you intended to do with those when you bought them?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
It sat in my cupboard for really, it's a problem I have, right?
Cool.
Ooh, this sounds interesting. I'm going to buy it. And then I was like, oh man, I don't have lemon zest. Oh, but I do have lemon peel somewhere. So they're like little granules of lemon peel that you can rehydrate. I just tossed it in the oil and was like, you know what? It'll rehydrate as I cook this rice and all the flavor will come out then, was what I hoped. And I think it worked.
Interesting. Yeah.
So then after you've got your garlic and lemon zest, you add in your long grain rice, turmeric powder, and salt and pepper, and fry that up. And so that turmeric is not a lot, but I think it's what gives it the bright yellowy color. And then you're supposed to cook the rice in a cup of vegetable broth and a cup of half and half.
Oh, interesting.
But I was like, you know what? Heather's not a big fan of the milk. So I thought instead I'll use coconut milk because that'll work with all these flavors. And I don't have vegetable broth. I have homemade chicken broth. I changed those 2 things up in this. And then the juice of 1 lemon. I prefer fresh lemon juice, but I've always got a backup. So if you had a lemon, you would have just zested it and then juiced it and put it in here. Instead, I used my dried lemon peels and the juice from the bottle. So turn up the heat, bring it to a boil. Once it does, you reduce the heat, pop on the lid and let it simmer. It says for 20 minutes or until all your liquid has been absorbed. Remove from heat, fluff with a fork, and serve. I was kind of excited because when I removed this from the pan into the dish, the bottom had started to crisp a little bit, kind of like that Iranian rice that Samin is always talking about.
Yes.
And so I was like, ooh, there's little crispy bits at the bottom. So I felt kind of like I had won the rice game because I got that little bit of crisp on the bottom.
A little bit of crisp, but not, oh no, I burned my rice, which is not what you want.
It is an extremely fine line that I never seem to get right. Either my rice is still a little bit damp and there's no crisp, or I've completely singed it to the bottom and I have to
and
clean
clean
my
the
pot
pot after. Oh, sucks.
So I felt like, yay, I won the rice game on this one, and just sprinkled this with some green onions on top from the ones that I had chopped up. That was it. And then I said I was going to roast carrots, and I was like, no, I'm not turning on my oven and my barbecued and my stove. I was like, I gotta, whoa. So I just steamed up some carrots and added in a little butter with them and some of this mapley bourbon sauce. And that was dinner.
You sound like it was just so simple. Well, that was dinner.
Comments, feedback, thoughts, suggestions.
First of all, I feel like I'm kind of winning a bit of a lottery here for a couple of reasons, but one of them being, I think I'm getting Sarah's portion now, which I love because that was like a nice big dinner. And I didn't share it. My family ate something else. They were having ham, which I don't like.
Oh, that was the perfect day.
Yeah, I make it for them every so often because they really love it and I don't. They have their ham and their honey mustard and they get all into it and I'm like, yeah. So anyway, I was like, no, you don't get any of this. This is mine. So I put the rice, the carrots, the chicken in my cast iron skillet, a small cast iron skillet, and popped it in the oven and let it warm up. And then I ate the whole thing. This was quite a bit of food, but I couldn't stop because it was so tasty. I love it. Okay, the chicken. I can only imagine that if you could eat it right off that flame, that whole crispy, juicy, it was delicious. And I enjoyed every bite of it. But I just imagine how that bacon would be right off the grill.
Yeah.
I want to make this so that I can eat it like right off the fire.
Right.
Plus I want to make it just because it was stinking good. But the spice, I was just waiting to hear what was in that spice because I couldn't quite pinpoint it. And so I was a bit surprised to hear about the cinnamon. And I think that was the thing that I couldn't place when I was eating it. Really interesting.
I felt like I could have gone for less pepper. I feel like there was too much pepper and that's all I tasted. I felt like I wanted to taste more of the cinnamon. And when I write this up, I'm going to reduce the amount of pepper going forward just because I think a tablespoon of pepper was too much. I would have gone down to like a third of that. I think I'd do just a teaspoon of pepper.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't. I was like, there's something else in here, but I can't place it because it was a bit over.
Too much pepper.
Over pepper. But still, really, I liked that it had that spice in addition to the bacon, which I think it all just worked so well together. And then of course the sauce, so good. I like that sweetness with everything. I mean, anytime you have maple and bacon, you can't go wrong. And just throwing whiskey in there too, like I sang earlier, it was so delicious. And the rice, I never would have guessed that you didn't have a lemon in your house.
I faked it and I made it.
I thought for sure there was lemon zest in there. Yeah. So now I'm tempted to make a trip down to Silk Road Spice and get some of this dried lemon peel to have on hand because how convenient is that?
And I didn't even have salted lemons. This was the other thing. I had no salted lemons.
The fresh lemons were gone. Who's eating up your fresh lemons?
Possibly I used it and just didn't remember because that's probably a really...
Hey, that can happen.
I've been buying lemons by the bag because I've been using them more. And it could have been the situation where it was like, I think I have more lemons in the fridge because I've bought in a large quantity. And then I open up that crisper and I'm like, ain't no more lemons.
I do the same thing. I buy them in a bag. And then sometimes it'll happen. I'll be like, but I thought I had lemons. And my husband will be like, well, there was one mushy one in the back that I tossed out. I'm like, I didn't realize that.
It looked good on one side, but then I picked it up and it was like,
Yeah. Okay, so the rice, I absolutely want to make that. That was delicious. And I love that it was cooked with the broth and the coconut milk. Who doesn't love that coconut flavor in their rice?
Yeah, I love coconutty rice anyways. So I think I'll try this with the half and half next time I make it.
Yeah. And I'll just mention carrots with that sauce. Perfect.
Yeah.
Loved it. Loved all of it.
Yay.
And I knew it was going to be a winning recipe I mean, we like what he's doing and we want to cook his food because it looks so delicious. Mostly I would love for him to cook for us. That would be, if we could go and visit, stand around that fire with a magnum of wine, not even a magnum, the Texas size or whatever they call it, the Texas Mickey of red wine, like Francis Mallman.
Yes.
And just hang out and watch. Wow. Yeah. And then eat that directly off the fire.
This was fun. I'm glad we just snuck this in here.
Snuck it? No, it's all carefully planned. The editorial calendar.
Go and enjoy these recipes.
Everybody make it. It's so good.
Yeah. Good stuff for grilling season.
I want that sauce on everything now. And now for the fine print. Join us over on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest, and on our website at threekitchenspodcast.com. And remember, when you like, follow, subscribe, and review, it helps more people find us. Thank you so much for listening.
And my light just went out. Oh, fuck.